I personally don't know anything about the New Jersey drone stuff, but I'm excited to learn about it and see how crazy people are. And I'm going to make up my mind on what the most convincing conspiracy theory is on the spot. I have my suspicions on what they most likely are. It's almost always the military, but we'll see. Regarding drones, governors seemingly are afraid of stars, which is understandable. Andy Kim, after going out with police to observe reports of possible drones, I loved the photo op. I was, with the help of civilian pilots and others, able to go do deeper analysis and conclude that most of the possible drone sightings that were pointed out to me were most certainly planes. Let me explain. A thread. Dude, we are on the verge of something nefarious, okay? I need you guys to understand. We are on the verge of societal collapse. You got people literally going, oh, these are straight the f up drones that are here to kill us. When they're looking at just like regular planes, we are cooked. Except Donald Trump is not. He knows what the drones are, okay? He knows that it's Chris Christie eating McDonald's.
Millions of Americans have their eyes to the sky trying to unwrap a mystery. Ever since Thanksgiving, there have been thousands of reported drone sightings, mostly in the skies over New Jersey. Now those sightings have spread. Reports of flying objects have cropped up in half a dozen states in the Northeast, some even here in New York City. And now what was a curiosity.
I think this is amazing because I assume that like there's probably some like, I don't know, military defense contractors like testing out drones or whatever. Like I'm sure the inception point here is like some real American technology, probably. But it is hilarious how quickly peasant brain creates collective psychosis. And now you have so much momentum on the story from people who personally think that every plane in the sky is actually a drone. And not just any drone, but drones that are coming from an Iranian mothership. This is a fantastic example of this. Woman on Facebook proudly reports how her husband shone a laser at a drone, which was actually FedEx Flight 3926 at 4,000 feet. This is complete madness. My husband and I saw one in West Milford about 11:57 p.m. It was very low flying and audible. My husband shined his sniper laser at it, and we watched before our own eyes. It went completely dark, and the sound ended abruptly. I know the time because I texted my best friend immediately after. It was a FedEx plane. New Jersey Democrat Senator Andy Kim was posting planes flying a Newark flight path. Last night we went out with local police to spot the drone flying over New Jersey. Here's what I saw. We drove to Round Valley Reservoir and the officer pointed lights moving low over the tree line. Sometimes they were solid white light, others flashed of red and green. Now, the red and green light means that it's a FAA sanctioned flight, isn't it? That's just a plane. Or Santa Claus. We oriented ourselves with a flight tracker app to help us distinguish from airplanes. We often saw about 5 to 7 lights at a time that were low and not associated with aircraft we could see on the tracker app. Some hovered while others moved across the horizon. We saw a few that looked like they were moving in small clusters of 2 to 4. We clearly saw several that would move horizontally, then immediately switch back in the opposite direction and maneuver in ways.
The one low looks pretty close, right? So this one's gonna fly over us right now. You think so?
There are obviously actual drones, though. Just because people falsely report planes is irrelevant. Oh, make no mistake. That's why I said I suspect that the inception of the story came from like probably some military technology. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if it was a commercial drone or not, but I do think that I'm certain that there is some drones that people were like, "What the f is that?" And it became a story. And not only did it become a story, but then it turned into this massive story when people were like, there's a lot of flying stuff ahead of us. There's so many goddamn flying shit. What the hell is going on? Interesting question here is, how did this become a massive story? Because I think America is very stupid. And while they're like, this is one of those incidents where like, I think that there's a shit ton of drones because they're relatively cheap, chat. It's a very cheap thing to make, buy, purchase, a maneuver. It's relatively easy to operate. So like it could be a number of different things. It could be people around. It could be defense contractors testing out their new drones or whatever. But I think the broad reception of the story is partially because of our fascination with the unknown, and partially because, you know, there's Americans love this shit. They love this kind of conspiracy theory.
He is raising some alarm among some federal officials. Allie Bauman is here with more. Allie, good morning.
Good morning, Dana and Michelle. The FBI and Homeland Security Department have said these objects do not pose a threat to the public.
It's illegal to operate without a license. First of all, nobody gives a fuck about that. That's why I said it's cheap. I think that there is also real fears that this is something more ominous. But I think that the thing that is more ominous would be most likely just the American military, like defense contractors testing out their new toys. They are the size of cars. It's alien people. Okay. Or maybe that.
But despite that, some high-ranking elected leaders are demanding answers to what the objects are and who's controlling them. In the dark of night, the number of reported drone sightings in at least 6 East Coast states is now more than 3,000 and counting.
We saw blinking, like lots of blinking things up in the sky to the south, right over the ocean.
In New Jersey, unexplained drone activity was reported above a naval weapons station.
How much have you looked into this? I was under the impression that this was thousands of industrial-side drones clearly visible as a drone. Everybody has seen them. Yeah, I don't understand it. Everybody says everybody's seen them, and yet all the footage that I have seen from independent sources are either like TIE fighters that they altered, okay, to make it seem like a real TIE fighter was like flying in broad daylight, or planes and shit, planes and helicopters. So I have not seen, like, while I love a good story like this, I love a good conspiracy, I have not seen any real, like, footage. I'm not seeing any real, yeah, Larry Hogan saw stars and constellations and then said, these are drones. The stars at the 39-second mark are recognizable by the constellation Orion. From this, you can determine the bright lights behind the trees are stars Sirius and Procyon. I think something that people need to remind themselves is that, like, I often talk about people in positions of authority and how when someone is in a position of authority, we automatically assume that they know what the fuck they're talking about or they're brilliant. Okay, that's how meritocracy works, usually. And I need people to remember that just because someone is in Congress, speaking from a position of authority, does not change the reality that they can be an absolute moron. Okay, very important to understand. That's precisely the reason why I showed you Andy Kim, and that's why I showed you Governor Larry Hogan. You can still be an idiot. Just because you're a elected representative doesn't change that reality, okay? I do want to point to something here. I want to remind everyone how right I was in terms of the Chinese weather balloon story. And I think it's important to remember that I was right on the Chinese weather balloon story, because there were plenty of people who were yelling at me at the time saying this is inappropriate, that like we're being invaded by China. This is a deliberate attempt to destroy America. And at the time, the government literally used that to its advantage and very clearly leaned into that. This feels like you're gaslighting us, people from New Jersey. Some are planes, but most are fucking drones. A whole thread of red and green light planes they're saying aren't planes law. Whoever's behind this, they seem totally unconcerned about being photographed and filmed, which makes it highly unlikely that they're secret military defense industry tech. Yeah, that's a commercial airliner. That's not a drone. There are dozens of SUV-sized drones flying over New Jersey on a nightly basis. More video. Another one very much looks like a plane, but it isn't. Wait, what? Sent in by a resident of Bergen County. In the video, I thought it was a plane, but after seeing the picture, I'm not so sure. It doesn't look like any passenger plane to me. What? What are you talking about? This is literally a plane. And then not only is it a plane, but it's also like, I suspect it's like digitally altered as well, because there's like certain points where you can kind of tell. This chat is perfect for the story because half of us have plane autism and we can clearly tell if this is or isn't a plane. Yeah, planes come in various shapes, sizes, colors. Okay, they have different kinds of wings, and like a lot of the footage that I've seen are literally just straight up planes. While many of these look like larger versions of conventional drones or fixed wing aircraft, some appear to be orbs. What? Nah. Like the other part of the story is that some of these are like also digitally altered footage that is done. Is sold in a way like a Ring camera footage to make you think that this is like a real aerial phenomena. I'm sorry, dude. This is ridiculous. Some more orb activity in New Jersey. Truck driver caught on video orb UAP UFO. These are your people. These are your people, New Jersey loser. I'm more inclined to assume that it would be some kind of drone technology. Joint Staff statement from less than an hour ago. A spokesman from the Joint Staff acknowledged that there had been sightings of drones over 2 military installations in New Jersey, but said such sightings are typical. Yeah, in recent weeks, a number of drones have been sighted over New Jersey, prompting concern and thousands of telephone calls to report them. Some of those drones have even been sighted in the Picatinny Arsenal and Naval Weapons Station in Earl, both in New Jersey. A spokesperson from Joint Staff acknowledged that there have been sightings of drones over 2 military installations in New Jersey, but said such sightings are typical. So either is the Department of Defense playing with new toys by way of defense contractors and they want to keep it under wraps. Maybe some part of it is that. Or there are people that have access to drones that are flying it over military bases for fun. Or there is a third, more nefarious thing that's happening, which is that the American government is woefully incompetent and is completely incapable of dealing with, drone surveillance technology in the form of drones that Iran or China or any number of foreign adversaries are engaging us with. Now, the reason why I don't think it's the third option, okay, and it's most likely a combination of 1 and 2, is because drones are very fucking loud, okay, especially large drones. And the reality of the matter is, if you were to use drones to surveil American military bases, a foreign adversary, they're fairly easy to take down. There are even new weapons that people have developed exclusively to take down drones. And not only that, it would be pretty fucking simple and pretty easy to figure out which country's drones people are using. So that's the reason why I don't think that this is yet another instance of foreign adversaries spying on us openly. Okay? New Jersey State Police have said their anti-drone weapons are not working on these ones. I once again go back to what I have mentioned. There are numerous ways of surveilling American military bases. There are numerous ways to do it by way of utilizing the pre-existing telecommunication platform that is partially endlessly interceptable. New York Times Daily just recently did a report on how the Chinese government actually intercepted it incredibly successfully, just to make sure that they knew which Chinese nationals that were spying in the United States of America were caught and which were free of American suspicion. Now, I believe that to be true. Another way that our foreign adversaries could spy on us outside of directly infiltrating our telecommunications. Another way of spying on Americans is through satellites. Here's a conspiracy story. Fed used drones and information to test methods of inducing mass hysteria in the U.S. I mean, maybe. I could see that. The American government has in the past used unexplainable aerial phenomena as a mechanism to freak out the public. That is a very real and open psyop that the CIA is engaged with in countries where they wanted to interfere in the normal political process in. So that is something that we've done, but I'm not so certain.
These are apparently as I understand it, very sophisticated. The minute you get eyes on them, they go dark.
How would they know? How would the drone operator in the middle of the fucking night know that there are eyes on the drone? What? Someone in the chat said optical lasers or some shit. That's not... Fuck, man. If they have IR cameras, they can see camera lenses. Do you know how complicated of an operation that would be? They have infrared cameras that sense camera lenses and shut off their lights. Okay, then why do they have the lights on to begin with? From all angles, dude? What do you think drones are? You think they're how do you think drones are operated? You think that it's just an alien that's operating the drone? How do they have real-time understanding? Why do they have the lights on at first? Why do they turn their lights off? And how do they figure out that eyes are on them? It's not possible. Even with basic infrared, you can tell when people are looking at you by the simple fact that they're outside and pointing cameras at you. I agree this is not happening, but that's how it could happen. Oh my God. Dude, at any given moment when you're flying at that altitude, do you know how many eyes could be on you? My point is, you will never be able to tell. What?
We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat. We have not been able to, and neither state or local law enforcement authorities, corroborate any of the reported visual sightings. To the contrary, upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully.
Yeah, good luck fucking instilling any trust in the American public after fucking destroying what semblance of trust that might have remained, like ruining your credibility on the Gaza stuff. So who the fuck would ever believe that? Like across the board, Americans just don't trust their government. You know, you got the Iraq War, you got 9/11, you got the JFK assassination. Time and time again, American media in unison with the American State Department has actively been like, yeah, no, don't worry about it. Don't look over here. Okay. Nothing weird. Shut the fuck up. And of course, there is a tremendous level of distrust in the American government and a tremendous level of distrust in the American media. So obviously, not a single fucking person is going to hear that and go, you know what? I agree, actually. You're right. There's probably nothing to fear. At this point, they'd be better off being like, they're fucking aliens. Okay. I feel like people are so inclined not to believe the American government that if the American government came out and were like, they're UFOs, they'd be like, oh, it's okay, never mind, I don't believe it. They've been negatively polarized against any sort of revelation from the American government or the military, really. That trust is gone. That bond is broken. The American government is basically chat poop socking the streamer, okay? The ancient bond of trust between streamer and chat has been desecrated, defiled, defecated on time and time again. So no, after the 15th poop sock, the American government, the American population doesn't believe the American government any longer. The trust is gone. But of course, like even if there was one or two weird incidents that just don't pass the smell test, that could be attributed to a defense contractor testing out their new shiny toy or whatever. There are 10,000 mass hysteria, collective psychosis opportunities for the average American who has the mindset of a medieval peasant, who now will look to every single fucking plane and go, that's a drone. And no, I don't think it's a news and event that the U.S. government is using this drone hysteria to divert attention from. I don't think so. I think that's another like brain broken way to approach it. Like, no, what the fuck? I think we give the American government far too much competence. Okay. Like I think the American military is very powerful, much more powerful than you would suspect. But I also don't think that their influence is so vast, their schemes so complicated that they're actually actively trying to get our attention away from the things that matter. It's like, no, dude, most Americans don't know about anything and don't give a fuck about anything, okay? You don't really need to jiggle keys in front of them to get them to change their perception.